Good evening, YouTube. It's CN Maritime History here, back again with another video. Now, if you are watching this video will go live at 11:40 p.m. tonight. However, I'm recording this at the time I'm recording this. It is only 7:12 at night. But I thought I'd release it at the same time Titanic started sinking, just to commemorate the anniversary a little bit more. So, without further ado, let's begin. It's April 14th. So. Most of you know, I'm sure all of you have at least heard of it, this video of the Titanic. This video will go over its many, but certainly not all, because there's almost too many to count, of its pop culture appearances, its sinking, its maiden voyage, and its design. So let's begin. And all of these videos are actually no, all of my videos, I don't know if I've said this or not yet, but all my videos feature non-copyrighted pictures. I get them off of Bing Pictures, Creative Commons only, so yeah. So the Titanic's design, she was designed with watertight bulkheads that ran horizontally across her hull instead of longitudinally. I think I said that right. Yeah, they weren't vertical bulkheads. I think they were. I forget the exact terminology they were, but I think what I said was it. Those were on board Lusitania, which ultimately caused her to sink because the coal bunkers, as well as the watertight bulkheads that ran down the starboard side of the hull and port side of the hull. But of course, since Lusitania was hit on her starboard side, that caused her to list on her starboard side, and water ran down. It caused her to list more, and that was kind of it. So, Titanic was designed. Now, of course, Lusitania would sink 3 years after Titanic with updated precautions because of Titanic. So, Titanic, of course, did not have longitudinal coal bunkers. She had horizontal coal bunkers. Correct me if I'm wrong on what that's called in the comments below. The iceberg, to show you, just in this diagram here, follow my cursor, punctured in little gashes, not one huge long gash as originally thought, punctured from the forepeak, located in this area below the anchor, all the way back to boiler room number 5, located just under the first funnel. And I know that it's not a cutaway image here, but boiler room 6 and 5, located right around this area, would feed and uptake that led right up to through funnel number 1, just as 3 and 4 were 2, and 2 and 1 were for funnel 3, and of course funnel 4 was for ventilation, as it was a dummy funnel. The Titanic was not an arguably fast ship for its time. I don't believe it ever reached its maximum speed, as boiler room number 1, which is located right about here, was never operated. They were going to open that up the next day at sea, which of course never happened. But Titanic, I believe what they found out, she could have run 23 knots maximum, and her cruising speed would have been about 21 knots, so not bad. If she ever made it to wartime, she would have outran a U-boat. I believe the average speed, according to Eric Larson's Dead Wake book, the average speed for a U-boat was about 15 knots, therefore meaning she would be able to outrun a U-boat by 8 knots. And Titanic, I mean, she was revolutionary, not in her design, per se, but her interiors. She had electric elevators, which were not new, but they were very, I don't want to say unique, but they helped her stand out. She, of course, used the 4 funnels designed for, prestige, as that was considered, what's the word I'm looking for? That was considered, the thing for the time, the speed, safety, and stuff like that. But there was a lot of design. I will eventually make a video on the Olympic. I'm just trying to get through some other video ideas first. But on Olympic, this entire row of windows on the promenade deck was completely open, just like the section down here. This was all open. If I remember correctly, this was not all open. This was very similar, but I think most of it was more of this window design. You can see right in here is the private promenade suite, I think. And this section would be the grand staircase, and then back here would be the secondary grand staircase. Yes, Titanic did have 2. Same as Olympic. But anyway, that's most of the design features that I can think of off the top of my head. For once, I'm doing a video completely unscripted to help, I don't know, just to make it more original, I guess. Anyway, also, Titanic had a crow's nest. This is where the iceberg was spotted. And it's kind of hard to see here, but this is one of the cargo cranes, but they were folded inwards, so you really can't see them. They looked very, actually no, you can see the stern ones back here. They were very similar to those. And her very famous cowl ventilators featured here. Here, it kind of looks like a white candy cane shaped structure. And let's move on to the next section. On Titanic's maiden voyage, she set sail from Southampton on April 10th, 1912, and she was not booked to full capacity. However, there was a coal strike going on at that point in time, so at that point in time, they shifted what would have been called back then laid up ships. They were put in their docks because they didn't have enough fuel to run, and those passengers were then shifted on the Titanic, similar to the Cameronia. Maybe it was Cameronia. Passengers were taken off of that because I believe there was some sort of wartime shortage. It might have been coal too, and they were also shifted on Lusitania for her final voyage. Only reason I'm using Lusitania so much is that I'm currently reading Eric Larson's Dead Weight, which, if you are interested, that is a very good book. Very fast-paced, too, if you're interested in ocean liners. But anyway, let's just get back to the Titanic. You can see she is being aided by tugs as leaving Southampton here. And on her way out of Southampton to pick up passengers in Queenstown and Cherbourg, the propellers created a very large suction, or a wake. And this wake pretty much sucked the stern of the formerly SS City of New York, now just New York, almost into a collision, so much so the rope snapped and it almost went into a collision course with the stern of the Titanic. However, the tug Vulcan was able to correct this course, and thankfully Titanic did not suffer damage, which would have caused it to stay in port, which, who knows, it could have been a good thing. But yeah, that's her leaving Southampton. And as she left Southampton, she picked up passengers in Queenstown and Cherbourg, in Cherbourg she picked up, of course, the infamous, quote-unquote, unsinkable Molly Brown, which, if you've ever watched 1997's Titanic, pretty good movie, by the way. If you haven't watched it, most people I know of that are Titanic enthusiasts have, and that will be mentioned later on. But after stopping at Queenstown and Cherbourg, she headed out to the open ocean for pretty much, I want to say a test run, but she opened up full throttle on her boilers, and by Saturday, April 13th, 1912, she had all boiler rooms functional except one, and they would have opened that the next day. However, that wouldn't happen. Sorry, not Saturday, April 13th, Saturday, April 14th, the day that she went down. They would have opened the boiler room number 1, which would be located underneath the third funnel down here, the next day on Sunday, April 15th. Monday, April 15th. But of course, the ship was at the bottom of the Atlantic by that point in time. So, let's get to the pop culture references. So, all of these are non-copyright images, just letting you know. Now, let's start with the one on the bottom. I am personally not sure what this one is. I just took some reference points to the Titanic. I'm assuming it is, not assuming, I believe it is some sort of Roblox simulator of an ocean liner, but it does take some reference points from Titanic, such as the vents, the benches, but that's on most ships. The masts are not the same, however, and the funnel style is more like the Normandy than the Titanic. This is a side profile from Titanic Honor and Glory's, which is the company game, Titanic Honor and Glory. This is the side profile of their 3D model that they're using. This also is the same, I couldn't fit the whole thing in here with the design options, so I just fit it in like that so I could fit out the other 3 pictures. You can see how well lit this is, and I'm very excited for the video game to release. So, you know, we all can play that. I've tried to do the demo, but like, I wouldn't call it bugs that it has. It just, I got in it one night, it worked fine, went the next morning, and it doesn't work at all. I don't know. This one down here is from a quite obscure movie that I personally have enjoyed a lot. I believe, if I remember correctly, you can get it off of, I think it's Prime Video. Maybe they moved it by now. But it's called RMS Titanic. Came out in 1978, if I remember correctly. It's about a mineral that was transported aboard the Titanic when she went down. And this mineral still rests, and this is of course obviously fictional, but the mineral rested inside her hull, and divers go down to get it, and they end up having to raise the ship. Now, Titanic obviously does not look like this. This was made almost 8 years before the actual wreck of the Titanic was discovered, and they realized she was in much worse shape than this. She's only missing one funnel and has a greenish, slimish coat of, you know, gross stuff on her, but that's the worst thing that happened. Like, obviously, much worse stuff happened to the wreck, which I will, talk about later on. And this is the, you know, physically built model set from, James Cameron's 1997 blockbuster movie Titanic. And like I said earlier in the video, this is just a few of the pop culture references. There are many, many, many more, such as the countless, endless Minecraft maps that keep coming out with Titanic. I mean, they all look cool, but there's a lot of them, if any of you are Minecraft fans that watch this. So, her sinking. And yes, this is a, okay, I probably should have found a nicer shot of it, but this is a kind of blurry shot of Titanic breaking in two when she sank. Now, at the time of this movie, this was considered how she sank. However, in recent times, it is believed that her angle when she sank was not this tall. She was more so at this angle. She was not that far raised in the air. Unlike the Ken Marshall paintings you'll see from the 70s and 80s depict otherwise, but of course, we didn't know that back then. And sections of the ship, say like right here, why nobody finds sections of the secondary grand staircase on the wreck, is because this whole area was pretty much pulverized when the ship broke in two. As you can see, it's pretty, like, broken, but, like, this whole section was also broken as well. But anyway, let's get to the part of the sinking, and I'll explain the breakup later. RMS Titanic was sailing through an ice field at an approximately 20 knot speed. Now, this is obviously not what was recommended, but back then, it was believed that if you sped through an ice field, you know, you could steer around things and you'd make it through. However, that was obviously not Titanic's case in an iceberg, and they saw the iceberg. However, the icebergs are 90% bigger underwater than they are on top of the water. I mean, only 10% is above the water. And Titanic got, boiler rooms 6, the coal bunker, starboard coal bunker in boiler room number 5, and cargo holds 1 and 2, as well as the forepeak tank flooded. And eventually, as the bow leaned down further, that caused a very large influx of water to start coming up, and because of the angle of the boat, start coming up and over the bulkheads. And that caused major flooding as the water just kind of spilled over the bulkheads and the ship eventually sank. But, I mean, the countless engineers who stayed down in the boiler rooms until, I mean, the very last. The ship did not lose power until she broke in half. Like, it's just unfathomable how much bravery and courage those men had who stayed down in the boiler rooms till the very last, just to keep power on for, not just, to keep power on for the countless many who were trapped or in the ship or stuck in the decks above. But Titanic struck the iceberg at 11:40, and 2 hours and 40 minutes later, she sank at 2:20 a.m. in the morning of April 15th. And when she sank, of course, the supposed rescue ship, not supposed, the later dubbed rescue ship, the RMS Carpathia, would pick up her survivors about, I believe it was 2 hours later. And of course, by then, most of them were dead, and only 700, I believe 706 was the number I remember hearing about. 706 survived out of the 2,200 people on board. So approximately 1,500 people died, which is very sad. It was a very great tragedy, and not to mention that this ship was the largest in the world, and was, not by the company, but by some members of the world and the press, deemed unsinkable. However, of course, nothing's perfect, and as proven by the Titanic, nothing is unsinkable. If you guys have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know down in the comments below. I want to do this to commemorate the Titanic disaster. This will be out at 11:40 tonight. Now, I'm not going to translate, ship's time to, Eastern Seaboard time here in the U.S., but, if I did do that, I think it would come out around 9 if I ended up doing that. But, if you guys would like to watch this, I'll put it up as a video, not a live stream. I almost said live stream. I'll put it up as a video, and, you guys can watch this. If you have any, if you don't have this book, Dead Wake, I really do recommend it if you would like to learn more about Lusitania, and if you'd like to learn more about the Titanic disaster. Honesty of Glass by J. Kent Late and Tad Fitch and Bill Wormstead. I always get that wrong, but I think I said it right this time. That's a really good book, and actually tonight, they, along with Tom Linsky, the co-creator of THG, are doing a live stream to reenact the events of the sinking. So if you guys want to tune in for that, that'll also be on tonight. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe down below, and leave a comment if you have any suggestions for videos, any topic you'd like me to look at or do a video on, or I don't know, just do something down in the comments. Maybe I missed something, or who knows. But hope you guys have a happy Easter, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.